Hello, and today we're going to talk about how I painted the character 11 from the Stranger Things board game, which I bought 6 months ago. There is a long-awaited new series coming out, Series 5 in 2026, early 2026. I have already partly painted some of these, but I had other projects on, so I didn't finish. So I'm going to go back to it now and show you how I painted 11. Enjoy. So let's have a look at the characters. So there's 11, we're the one that we're going to paint today, which I'll show you. As you can see, I've already done some of the base tone of the skin. You get Jim Hopper, who's the down and out copper. He kind of lets himself go, hence his overweight. I've painted him quite dirty because it's that kind of not looking after himself. I think I've gone over the top a little bit here, so I may kind of clean him up a little bit to make him a bit more cleaner, as he is the chief of police. Then you get Lucas as one of the D&D crowd in the gang that's trying to save Will. You get the erratic mum, who's played by Winona Ryder. This is Joyce Dyer. You get Dustin, who's the kind of the nerd, the tech guy out of them all. Then you get the love interest, which is Nancy Wheeler, I've virtually finished. And then you get Mike, who's kind of one of the best friends of Will, trying to protect him. He's kind of the organizer of the gang. I think you call him the leader. So they're the kind of characters that you get within the game, or the miniatures within the game for Stranger Things. There are a few monsters. This is 11 the ones we're going to paint today. Now, as you can tell, I did kind of prime all these kind of with a grey brown colour, like a sandy colour. There is a reason behind that when it comes to the denim, which is on the jeans and in this case 11's jacket, and I'll show you why later. And with all that said, let's get ready to paint her. As it's been a while since I painted this figure with the base colour of the skin, I'm going to go back over it again, and I did forget the legs anyway, so I need to do those anyway. So I just used a brown sand from Vallejo, and as per usual, and then I kind of highlighted it with a basic skin tone, and then a bit later on I put a Whiteland flesh shade over it from Citadel. And that will be the flesh done after that. Now you'll have to excuse the blur on my camera. It's only a phone camera at the moment, but it does kind of gain focus again and later on, so bear with me a second. Cheers. I don't think I'll be doing the eyes on this model because it's quite a small model, and I don't think I can get enough detail to do the eyes on this one. So I've deleted a lot of that because it was all blurry, but as you see, the base coat of the skin is on, and now I'm working inwards to outwards, so I'm going to do her dress first. Now I first of all thought it was a blouse and then a skirt, but it's not, it's actually a dress, and there's the photo of it. She has a white collar and a pale pink dress with a blue denim jacket on. So that's how I'm going to paint it, so it's very similar to what they had in this series. And I'll probably put my own artistic license on a bit later. Now I haven't got a pale pink because I'm normally a military modeller, so kind of a pink doesn't normally come into the artist range. But I have found a titillating pink from Citadel Colours, which I got must be 20 years ago. Obviously didn't use much of it, but I must use it for some kind of colourful wizard or something. So let's give this a go, and hopefully it still works. Now, when I mixed the paint, it was very, very thin, and couldn't get any kind of thick viscosity out of it. So I don't like it too thin, and it is not, even though with the primer on, it's not sticking to the model as best I thought it would do. So it looks like I'm going to need 2 or 3 paints on this. Sorry, 2 or 3 coats of it. And then, as it is, you can't see how pink it is on here, maybe, but I might need to tone it down. So when I do the highlights now, I'm going to put a lot of white into it to kind of pale down the actual pink itself, because I don't want it to make too pink, too girly for her. As I said before, it's always good to have some kind of reference material when you're painting figures, particularly when you're trying to depict an actual character from a film or a series, as you would do uniforms when you're painting figures for any military game you're doing. So yeah, I printed off the 11 photo from the website, from a website, and obviously I watched the series again, ready for the new series to write. So just to refresh my memory about who the characters were. So yes, it is a good reference material. It's always good if you want to go by what's shown in the actual series. If you want to do your own colours, it's entirely up to you. So go for it. So I've did 3 or 4 coats on this skirt, and on this dress eventually, and now I want to go to the jacket, which is a blue denim. So I'm going to use a magic blue speed paint from Army Painter. Now, I don't normally use speed paint. I don't really particularly like them, although they do really a real good job for making, well, I think, denim. Now this is where I primed it with this grey kind of a sandy colour, and that's because you can, the less of the speed paint you put on, the more faded the denim looks. And I think this is entirely your choice, or your flavour and how you want your denim to look. But as you can see, when I'm putting it on, it looks like a really faint denim. So obviously, again, like most speed paints, the more you put on, the more colour you're going to get, and the dark it's going to look. So I'm going to put a couple of coats on anyway, because I want this to be a darker jacket. But as you can see, it does look faded at this point, which, if you're kind of, I don't know, if you're doing like jeans, trousers, you probably maybe only put 1 coat on the knee section or on the back side where they've been kneeling or sitting on the ground, making it more faded, and then bought more of 2 or 3 coats on the non-used areas, so you kind of get that fading effect in certain areas of the jeans. And I'd say up to your choice, but I will do 2 or 3 coats on this because I want it to be more of a dark denim. It's not actual jeans, as in trousers. As you'd expect with a speed paint, the more you put on your brush, then the more it's going to go in the creases, which gives you that kind of natural shading on the jeans, or in this case, jacket. Now, I also use the edge, the top of the bottle, and I picked up some gunk on the brush, as you can see here. So I have to take some of that off. So try and use the fresh paint and not gunk at the top like I did here. I did get it off. It's quite easy to get off, but just use the fresh paint. On this particular model, you can just see a kind of a jagged edge on the jacket, and I'm wondering if that's letting you put a zip there. I couldn't tell if it was a zip and that on the photograph, but it looks like there's a slight jagged edge on the jacket, so you could do a zip if you wanted to, with with a dull steel or a kind of a gunmetal type colour. I'm just going to leave it the denim. I'm not going to go into too much detail. If I was doing a diorama, then maybe I'd go a bit more detail, but as these are going to be just for gaming purposes on a board game, then I'm not going to go into that much detail on it. Okay, so there's the jacket done. You could highlight it yourself. And I know it's a speed paint, but I did take my time because it's been a while since I've painted these type of figures, and it's certainly been a while since I've used a speed paint. So I just wanted to take my time on it. The next thing I'm going to do are the socks. As I said, working in to out. So now I'm going to do the socks, and as per the photo that I showed you earlier, I'm going to use just a white on it. And then I think there was a green and yellow hoop around the top of the socks, so I'm going to just put a green one, I think. And the yellow one can be folded within the fold, you're not going to see it, so let's just put a little green one. There you go, after I've finished both socks, or the whites of the socks, now I'm going to put the green trim on. Okay, so if you look at the dress, it does look a bit shiny, which is probably part of that titillating pink that I put on from Citadel. Now that will dull down when I mix it with the matte white when I do the highlights and the Rockland flesh, but also when I'll do a matte varnish on it, and that will tone it down even further. But here's the figure so far. So before I do the green trim on the socks, I'm going to do the boots next, and this is a leather brown from Vallejo. I think in the photo that I showed you earlier, she's actually wearing like a white cream trainers, dirty trainers, but on this model it looks like they're more like high ankle boots, which I think is slightly different, makes a change. And I don't want white cream trainers with white socks, so it does help the contrast between the two just by doing the brown, leather brown. I will try and paint some kind of white laces over the top of the brown, just to give it a bit more detail. I don't want to go into too much detail for the model, as I said earlier. It's not for a vignette or a scenario. It's for board gaming, so don't need to go too much detail. Okay, with the brown boots done, leather brown boots, I'm now going to kind of highlight the dress a little bit. Again, I mixed some matte white from Vallejo with that titillating pink, and then that will tone it down a bit, and maybe do more of the highlights, not just on the fours, but on the majority of the dress. You may not be able to see the highlight so much on this because that pink is kind of quite reflective when it comes to the camera, but you can, from my eyes, see the big difference between the deep pink it was to the lighter pink that this highlight is showing through. You'll just have to take my word for it, but it is lighter, a lot more toned down than it first was. So yeah, it's looking a bit more pale than when it first came on with that titillating pink. It's still looking bright to me, but I am going to put a Reichland Flesh Shade wash over it, not only to get in the shadows, but just to make it a little bit more dirty. You remember they've been playing out in the mud. She's not really that fashion sensible at this type of this time of the film or series. So, and she wasn't getting brand new clothes from shops either, so they're kind of second hand used. So it's going to look a bit drab, but that's part of it all before she builds a character up in the later part of the series. So I did the white colours on the dress as well, and then I'm going to start now on the kind of more detail. I say I'm not doing too much detail, but I'm going to do the socks, which were, as you see, got green and yellow hoops. I'm just going to do green. I think the yellow won't show on these white socks. And for the green, I'm going to use this light green from AKO 3024 from AK Interactive. I know the socks are darker on the model in the series, but I'm just going to use this. This is what I've got to hand. No need to be too precise on this. Remember, these socks are they're not pulled up, they're wrinkled, so the circles are not going to be perfect. So just do it to your best ability, but they don't have to be perfectly round because of they're kind of pulled down socks. So I'm going to make these green hoops are a little bit thicker than they are in the actual photo, just to show it a bit more in the model. Remember, you're going to be like a 2 or 3 foot away from the actual table when you're playing this game, or from the actual figure, so you want to see that there is a bit of detail there. It doesn't have to be much there. And now I'm going to go and do the white laces, and this is literally a horizontal stroke across the top of the boots. I'm not going to do more than that for it. And with that done, I'm now going to go into highlighting some of that skin tone. As I said before, I'm going to use this 70815 basic skin tone from Vallejo, and I'm just going to go over the kind of the ears, the cheeks, the forehead, the fingers and the knees, etc. And then I shall go over it with a Reichland Flesh wash to blend it all in a little bit. Now normally when I'm doing like a scenario, like a model making or 1/35th scale, I really spend a lot of time on the face to make it look realistic. On these models, they're a bit slightly smaller, and again, this is just for board gaming. I have to keep repeating myself, I know, but I'm not going to go into too much detail with the face. Just a quick highlight and then a wash, and that will do for me. Just highlighting the knuckles and the back of the hand. And when I'm doing this highlight, I'm not just using basic skin tone on its own. I'm using some of the base coat as well, which was the brown sand mixed in. Otherwise it will look too much contrast between the two. If I was doing a 1/35th scale, I would do 4 or 5 different shadings, but for this purpose I'm only going to do the 2, which is the brown sand on its own, which is the base coat, and then a bit of this basic skin tone with the brown sand mixed in. Oops, just got a bit on the sleeve there, so I can correct that a bit later. Again, you've got to be a bit more precise, as I wasn't there. Be careful where your brush is, and make sure you don't go anything that you've already painted. Okay, with that kind of skin tone done virtually, I'm now going to do the chocolate brown for the hair. I don't want to do the leather brown the same as the boots. I'm doing chocolate brown. Just make a change and make it different colour. Again, her hair was quite short at the start of the first and second series, which is what the game is based on. So it's not long hair at all. So a lighter brown is probably more appropriate. Now, when I paint hair or anything else for that matter, I try and do the brush stroke in the same direction where the hair would be laying. So in this case, I was doing the brush like downwards as opposed to across. This helps sometimes to get into the creases of the hairlines, which not so much on this model. It's not as detailed, but it does help get into the creases, and it also shows you the flow of the hair when possible, especially if you're doing lots of highlights or shading on it as well. So you can see I'm moving the brush up and down as opposed to sideways, and then I'll dab here and there where it's not gone in the crevice. Okay, there was a few things I did off camera. I highlighted the speed paint blue with a bit of, I just mixed that with a bit of matte white and the magic blue that I used. Just a few highlights. And then I put some textured dry earth that I had in a tin that left over. Now, because of the muddy area that she was actually in when she did this kind of pose, I'm going over it again with a flat earth from Vallejo, and then I will put an Agrax earth shade to make the puddles and make it darker and really muddy. No need to be too precise with this mud or the painting of the flat earth, because we'll go on our shoes and the boots because it was kind of wet and muddy ground. So okay, you might be losing a bit of detail from the shoes if you had any, but yeah, it's not a great deal. And I'm actually going to do the base of the rim of the base as well, because just make it all in one instead of making a model, make it more realistic. Here's the model with the base now dry. As you can see, I put the Reichland flesh shade on the dress to darken that down a bit, make a few creases, make it a bit more grimy. Yeah, it came out okay, considering it's just like a board game piece. And all I'm going to do is put this in a matte varnish, which I use the Vallejo Premium matte varnish. I've never had any problems with it. Sticks well, and yeah, good protection, and it is matte. Here's the end product of 11 from Stranger Things for the board game. Hopefully I'll show you how to play the game next time on the next video. If it's one player or we can play with friends. Thanks for watching.